Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is going to be a January 2023 budget recap using the printable version of the Budget by Paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom. If you're interested in seeing that, please stick around. I thought I'd start out this January 2023 budget recap in the monthly spread in my Budget by Paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom. This is where I keep track of all of the bills that I have due throughout the month, what paycheck I'm going to be using to pay those bills. I do keep track on Sundays of different savings challenges that I'm doing, whether they're a savings challenge from the Budget Mom, my 52-week challenge, things like that. I did add a little bit of washi to my monthly spread. I think I mentioned in one of my videos last week that I got this budgeting washi tape from the Coffee Monsters Co. and I love it. I think it's a perfect way to add a little bit of deco into my budget book. So you're going to be seeing that on every single monthly spread moving forward. I want to bop ahead to the debt payment plan. Now, this is one of the pages in the Budget by Paycheck workbook that's meant to be used as you're closing out your budget every month. I did start using this sheet in 2022, but to be totally honest, I had a pretty hard time with it in 2022. I think I have a much better hold on how to fill out this sheet now, so I'm very excited to be using it in 2023. Up top, it starts out with just listing your different debts that you have. For me, I have two different debts. I have my car loan, which is under Sikorsky, and my student loans, which are under Nelnet. I have the balances for these two different loans listed here. This is the balance after your payments for the month. That was one thing that I always confused myself on last year. What I have listed here under balances is what my current balance is on the last day of the month after I've made every payment that I'm going to make that month. So for me, with my Sikorsky, it's a little over $21,000. For Nelnet, it is about $23,000. I have my interest rates listed here, as well as my minimum payments. My minimum payment for my car is a little over $450. For my student loan, I don't have a minimum payment right now because federal student loans are on hold. So nothing is technically a minimum payment right now. I do have the order in which I want to pay off these debts, that being my student loan, my car loan first and then my student loan second. The reason that I have them listed in that order is because I'm a little bit concerned that a car loan might have more of a negative impact on my ability to try to get a mortgage when I find a home. I understand that from a total balance perspective, from an interest rate perspective, it does make more sense to pay off my student loan first. But again, I'm just worried about getting a mortgage on a home. And I could be totally wrong. It could not be a factor that one of my loans is a car loan, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be more so than a student loan. The other thing too is that my employer is currently paying on my student loan, even though I'm not. There's a really awesome program at where I work that over the course of like 5 years, they'll pay off $20,000 of your student loans or whatever you have due up to that. My loans are obviously well over $20,000. So over the next 5 years, fortunately, about half of what I have left in my student loans is going to be paid off by my employer. So I want to be able to take full advantage of that. If I bring you all down to the extra debts, debt payments section, you'll see that I didn't put any extra towards my car loan this month. I feel like that's wrong. Hang on a second. I did. Whoopsies. So I forgot to include that in there. That's unfortunate because that means I did do this sheet wrong this month. Dang it. Ugh. Oh, that makes me so bummed. Yeah, right? Because I put $500 towards my car. That was a student loan payment. And then my regular car payment is over here. And then I had another student loan payment for my employer. Oh no. Well, that's really unfortunate because that means that the rest of this sheet is wrong, but it is what it is. I only listed my two student loan payments that my employer made towards me. Usually it's one a month for $333.33, but my the December payment went in late. So technically there was two this month. Pretend I have $500 written down here towards my car loan as well. So really my total debt payments, including my minimum balances and extra, is closer to, well, it would actually be $1,623.51. So yeah. Down here, in terms of monthly debt progress, my last month's total debt was $65,768.27. This month, we're at $64,203.35. That means I made debt progress of over $1,500, and that's about 2.2% progress for the month. In terms of my overall debt, I don't have really a super accurate total debt I started out with. This number here, $70,910.32, that is what my debt balance was in June 2022 after I purchased my car and before my employer started making loan payments for me for my student loans. So that's the reason why I put that number there. It does not factor in the fact that prior to COVID, prior to ever putting any of my budgeting stuff up here on YouTube, I had probably paid off somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 of my student loans already. So just, keeping that in the back of my mind. List my total debt balance again for the month. My overall debt progress has been $6,706.97, and that means I've made 9.5% progress towards paying off my debt overall. Dang, I'm really bummed that I unfortunately forgot about that car payment. But let's move forward to my monthly net worth tracker. So I figured this out on the 31st of January, the last day of the month. It does ask you to put in your net worth from the prior month up top. So my net worth in December 2022 is a little over $140,000. I do have all my assets listed here, but I prefer to keep those private in terms of the specifics. I, of course, have my debt balances listed here in the liabilities column. These are the same exact totals that are listed on the prior page. If I bring this down just a little bit, we can see that my overall total assets are $218,871.69. My total liabilities is $64,203.35. If I subtract my liabilities from my assets, we get my net worth from the month. And for the month of January, that's $154,668.34. That means that my net worth from December to January went up $14,243.04, which is an increase of 10.1%. And I think a big part of why that happened was actually because of my the chunk that I put towards debt in the month of January, but also I definitely had an increase in my my retirement accounts. Moving forward, we are going to talk about the monthly budget category breakdown, which for me is probably my favorite of the Where Did My Money Go worksheets. So let me just get this so that you can see the entire sheet. So for me, this is a really important sheet because I feel like it gives a wonderful overview of your budget for the month, what you stuck to, what you struggled with, and really allows you to make sure that you're maintaining that zero-based budget. The first part of this monthly budget category breakdown is the figuring out your total monthly inflow. So the Budget Mom categorizes all your money coming in for the month as inflow instead of income, because a lot of times we have money coming in that isn't necessarily from income. You have your starting balance, which is money that you rolled over from the previous month into that current month. You have your earned income, you have other income, but you also have savings used as well. So everything added up together does create your monthly inflow. But as you can see, for me, in the month of January, there was a lot of different places that money was coming in from. I had a pretty significant starting balance because I got paid towards the end of December 2023. My earned income is what I make from my full-time job, other income, that was really significant in the month of January. I got a couple of different payouts from different places. I also included the 2 payments of $333.33 into my other income as a means to be able to show those payments being made. Again, your inflow has to match your outflow, right? We're doing a zero-based budget. So in order for me to qualify those 2 payments that my employer made towards my student loans, I have to show the income of that. So that's included in here. And then I used a tiny bit of savings. So my total monthly inflow for January was $8,536.85. When we get into my budget categories, for the most part, I do have monthly budgets for all of my budgeting categories. They are very simple in the way in which I created them. So basically, I budget bi-weekly because I get paid bi-weekly. Whatever I budget for a category for a pay period, I just multiplied that by 2 and that became my monthly budget for that category. So for instance, I budget $200 a pay period for groceries, so my monthly budget is $400. For the month of January, I spent $370, so I was under budget by about $30, which is great. Eating out. I increased my eating out budget in January 2023 from $150 a month to $200 a month. I only spent $116, so I was really, really proud of that, which means I was a little over $80 under budget. For gas, $150 is my monthly budget. I budget $75 a pay period for it. I only spent $61, which is great. So I was under budget by almost $90 there. Miscellaneous is definitely a really difficult category for me. Miscellaneous spending is really supposed to be from the money that I have in my miscellaneous cash envelope. Now, in years past, I haven't been really, really great about sticking with including things that come out of that envelope as miscellaneous, and then any other miscellaneous spending I have throughout the year, throughout the month, classifying it as more miscellaneous bills. I'm sorry, I don't know if you all just heard that, but my neighbor is doing something outside and it's creating a ton of noise, and I apologize if you do hear that. Hopefully that doesn't keep going. But anyways, for 2023, I want to be much better about only classifying things as miscellaneous spending if they're coming out of that envelope, if I'm paying for them in cash. And so for the month of January, I spent about $101 out of that envelope, which means I was very significantly under budget, which I'm really happy about. For miscellaneous bills, I did do a lot of spending in the month of January, $673.32. I never have a budget for that because my hope is that the number would be 0, but yeah, I did do a lot of miscellaneous spending. For savings, I always want to save $3,000 or about half of what I make in my full-time job. And in the month of January, I actually saved closer to $3,800, which is really, really exciting. That is definitely a category I'm not upset to be over budget in. For utilities, I really should be about $330, but I was $343.89 for the month. That's because I had some stuff going on with my Verizon account because I got a new cell phone in the month of January. So there was some one-time payment situations going on that made that a little bit higher. That's actually a big reason why my miscellaneous bills is so expensive. I don't know about other phone companies, but when you purchase a phone through Verizon and you pay for it monthly, it's just added to your monthly bill. They make you pay the taxes up front. And both my mom and I, who share a family plan, we both got new phones, so we had to pay the taxes up front. So my taxes are included in this for that phone. That was like a couple of $100s. And then I did like get a new phone case, got screen protectors, got camera protectors. That wasn't super expensive, but it was factored into here. Personal. This is a new category for me for 2023. I just felt like this was a better way to delineate between utilities, which I feel like are necessities, versus personal things that are not necessities, but that I use regularly. So for me, personal spending is going to be separate from miscellaneous bills, because it's things that are more normally occurring on a monthly basis, meaning like my Spotify coming out, my Audible coming out, my gym membership that comes out, those kinds of things, versus like my cell phone bill, which I'm considering more of a utility. Next category we have is the housing category, which is basically my rent. That was right on track. Giving, I always give $20 a month to my bank, so that was right on track. I am going to be giving to charities throughout the year as well, but I'm planning on making larger donations every few months, and so that's why we're not seeing anything additional in the giving category. For debt, my only required payment is my car payment, so that's what I have in the budgeted column, but I ended up contributing a little over $1,600 to debt in the month of January, and then I used a little bit of one of my sinking funds. One of the key things in the budget by paycheck method is making sure that your inflow matches your outflow, or that you have a zero-based budget. And an important part of that is factoring in the next month's starting balance when you do this worksheet. If I did this worksheet and I didn't include this in here, I would be off, because this is money that I haven't spent yet, but I am going to spend it in February, so I need to list it in here. And with that being listed in, everything in this column does equal out to be $8,536.85, and that matches my inflow for the month, which means I was off by $0 for my budget. Okay, I apologize. I did just pause the video for a little bit. My neighbors were making more noise and I wanted to see if it would pass. I think it did. Fingers crossed. The next worksheet we're going to be talking about is monthly debt and savings breakdown. I really appreciate this worksheet. I like seeing the breakdown of where my money is going with regards to savings and debt to make sure it's aligning with my overall goals. Starting with the debt section, we have our total monthly inflow listed up top, and then the amount we put towards debt for the month of January. That means that 19% of my inflow went to debt in the month, which I think is pretty good. The vast majority, well, I shouldn't say vast majority, but the vast majority of my own personal money that I put towards debt went to my car loan, which was a little over $950. And then I did have 2 payments towards my student loan from my employer, which equaled a little over $600. When it comes to the savings section, we don't utilize inflow, we utilize income. And the reason we do that is because the budget mom doesn't really think it makes a lot of sense to factor in savings used when you're talking about percentages of your income or inflow that you put towards savings. So your income is going to be everything listed in your monthly budget category breakdown minus savings used. So for me, that was $8,511.85. I put almost $4,000 towards savings this month. So 45% of my income went towards savings, which is really, really exciting. Getting down into more details about that, let's see here. So I ended up putting, sorry, I'm knocking the camera around a little bit. I ended up putting almost $1,000 towards my sinking funds this month. That was not 11.5%. I actually figured out these percentages wrong. I'm just reminding myself of that. So kind of ignore this column here. But I did put almost $1,000 towards sinking funds. My side hustle, which I kind of have separated, which I might actually just factor into sinking funds in the future, that got almost $250 this month. House savings got the vast majority of what I saved, which was $2,272.57. My $5 challenge got $35. 2023 savings challenges got $68. My 52-week challenge got $202, and my emergency fund got $40. So for me, the highest category here is house savings, and that makes sense. That's really my number one savings goal. Second highest was sinking funds. That also makes sense to me. That's a very important thing for me. And then third was side hustle, but again, that's kind of almost a factor into my sinking funds at this point. So based on these savings totals, I definitely think that where I'm putting my money that I'm saving is aligning with my overall savings goals. The last sheet that we're going to talk about for this January budget recap is my January monthly spending comparison. I think this sheet is really good with regards to smaller goals that you have traveling from month to month to month that you're hoping will eventually end up leading to larger accomplishments with regards to savings or paying off debt. or just getting better with your budget overall. I feel like I don't necessarily utilize this worksheet that much or really think about or look back on this worksheet a lot, but I do think it's a valuable worksheet to have. First thing on here is just comparing your inflow from the prior month to the current month. So my inflow for December was $1,761.06 less than December 2022, and I think the reason for that is because I did get a bonus from work in in December that I didn't get in January, and so it makes sense that my inflow is lower. With regards to comparing my December 2022 spending to January 2023 spending, there's definitely a lot of areas where I spent less, which makes me very happy. I think I did a lot of overspending in the month of December, especially in miscellaneous bills category, and it was really exciting to see that improve. Groceries, I did spend more, but that's okay. I spent less on eating out, which was exciting. I spent less on gas. I spent way less in miscellaneous, over $400 less. For miscellaneous bills, I spent over $2,000 less, honestly closer to $3,000 less. So that was very exciting. I did save more, which I'm excited about. I saved over $1,000 more in the month of January. My utilities were a little bit less, and I think part of that is because I did factor some things out into this personal category. Housing was the same. Giving was less just because the way I'm working my giving in 2023 is different than it was in 2022. I definitely put more towards debt in January, which I'm very, very happy about, and utilize less of my savings. So that's a really exciting thing to see. I want to keep seeing this month after month. I want to be seeing green on this page and not red. And that is going to be it for my January 2023 budget recap. I hope you all enjoyed this video and enjoyed me talking about the way I close out my budget using the Budget by Paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom. If you have any questions or comments about the way that I close out my budget, please don't hesitate to put them down below. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.